You know, the common wisdom right now is that the US is just crushing it in the AI race. I mean, you look at Silicon Valley, you see OpenAI, Nvidia, it feels like America basically owns the future. But what if I told you that the very people running those companies, the ones at the absolute peak of the mountain, are frantically sounding the alarm, saying we've got it all wrong?
So, let's just start with this bombshell. This quote comes from Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia. You know, the company whose chips are the literal engine powering the entire global AI revolution. When the guy who builds the engine tells you that another country is going to win the race, yeah, you got to listen up.
And look, it's not just him, it's an alarming consensus. You've got Elon Musk saying China will far exceed everyone else in computing power. You have Sam Altman from OpenAI flat out saying America is dangerously underestimating China's progress, and Demis Hassabis, the head of Google DeepMind, pointing out that the tech gap has shrunk from years to just a matter of months. These aren't pundits, these are the people actually building this stuff.
Okay, so to really get why they're so worried, we need to break this whole race down. Let's look at what actually matters. And we're going to start with the two most basic ingredients you need for any AI: data and people.
In the world of AI, data is oxygen. And China has an almost unbelievable advantage here. Think about it, 1.4 billion people living their lives on apps like WeChat and Alipay. The sheer scale is one thing, but the real kicker? There are far fewer privacy constraints. So all that data can just be hoovered up with very few questions asked. Now, the US has huge global data sets from its tech giants, for sure, but it has to operate with more guardrails, like privacy laws, which can definitely slow things down.
Now, what about the people, the talent? For decades, the US has been the place to be. You've got universities like MIT and Stanford, which are basically the world's best AI training grounds. And America has always benefited from this brain drain, where the smartest people from all over the world come to work. But that's changing, and it's changing fast. China is now aggressively luring its top talent back home with huge funding and a startup scene that moves at just a blistering pace.
And that brings us to the next point. And honestly, this is the thing that most people are completely missing, the one factor that totally reframes this entire conversation. We've talked about data, we've talked about talent, but what about the raw power you need to make it all work?
If you ask most people, what's the bottleneck for AI? They'll probably say it's the chips, right? Processing power. Who can build the fastest GPU? Who has the most advanced hardware? But the real answer, it's something much, much more fundamental.
And here it is. This is the crucial point. You can have the fastest, most incredible chip in the world, but it's just a fancy rock if you can't plug it into the wall. The real bottleneck for the future of AI isn't the silicon, it's the electricity.
And just look at the mind-bending scale on this chart. In just a single year, China is expected to add around 445 gigawatts of new power capacity. The United States, about 64. That is not a typo. Let that sink in. In 1 year, China's adding nearly 7 times more power capacity than the entire United States.
This perfectly illustrates what Sam Altman himself was talking about. It's an incredible irony, right? The US designs the world's best engine, these incredible cutting-edge chips. But China is busy building a vastly, vastly larger fuel tank. And in the years to come, having the fuel to actually run the machines might be way more important than who has the best machine.
So how did we get here? Well, this massive energy advantage isn't some kind of accident. It's the direct result of two completely different national strategies, two different playbooks for how to become an AI superpower.
On one hand, China treats AI like a national mission. Think of it like their version of the space race. They have this top-down plan called AI Plus 2025, and they just go. It's full speed ahead, with a lot less of the public debate and hand-wringing that can slow things down in the West. The US, on the other hand, relies on its incredibly dynamic but much more chaotic market-driven engine. This creates unbelievable innovation, but it also creates friction, and it makes huge, coordinated infrastructure projects, like, say, rebuilding the power grid, a lot harder. And if you look at private investment, you can see the US market's strength. American venture capitalists pumped about $19 billion into AI in 2024, which is more than double China's $9.3 billion. But don't let that number fool you. China's state-backed funds and its public-private coordination mean that every dollar they spend punches way, way above its weight, especially when it comes to big hardware projects.
But this whole story isn't just about what governments are doing. There's another battleground, this vibrant, chaotic world of open-source AI. And in this arena, a completely different kind of strategy is playing out, and it's one where China is absolutely thriving.
I love this analogy because it captures the difference perfectly. The US approach is like a high-tech greenhouse.
You have these giants like OpenAI and Google, and they carefully cultivate these incredibly powerful but closed-off proprietary models. China's open source scene? It's a chaotic, sprawling rainforest. Companies there release their models into the wild, where they compete in this fierce, almost Darwinian struggle. It's messy, it's brutal, but wow, does it drive rapid innovation.
And you can see the results of that rainforest energy on the street. This isn't theoretical. In China, facial recognition is just everywhere. Robo-taxis are already operating in multiple major cities. AI is deeply woven into the fabric of daily life through e-commerce and finance apps. And now, they're even exporting these tools and systems all over the world.
So, you add all of this up, the data, the energy, the different strategies. What does it all mean for the future? Well, the most likely outcome isn't that one country just wins. It's the birth of something completely new.
A lot of experts are starting to call this AI bipolarity. Think of it like a new kind of tech Cold War. The idea is that the world fractures into two dominant, competing AI ecosystems. Each one will have its own sphere of influence, its own technical standards, and its own unique strengths.
And in this new bipolar world, you can see how things might shake out. The US and its allies, they'll probably continue to lead on that bleeding-edge frontier research and high-end enterprise AI, all powered by the world's most advanced chips. Meanwhile, China and its partners are positioned to dominate mass deployment and industrial AI, leveraging those huge structural advantages in data, energy, and state coordination.
So maybe the most important takeaway here is to just stop thinking about a single finish line. This isn't one simple race. It's a whole bunch of different overlapping races all happening at the same time. The race for open source, the race for energy, the race for talent, they all have different leaders and completely different scoreboards.
Which really just leaves us with one final provocative thought to chew on. This intense competition is without a doubt going to accelerate innovation for everyone at a truly incredible pace. But what does a bipolar tech future split between these two competing giants actually mean for the rest of the world that's caught right in the middle? That right there is the question that's going to define the next decade.